Good morning, everybody, or good day, good afternoon, good evening. I'm going to go do some seed donations to a library in Washington State. I was calling around, seeing which of the libraries here have a seed bank or a seed library within the library. And so I found a few, and I'm going to go make a donation. I actually went over there and kind of went through some of the drawers, and they didn't have anything in there. There's literally, there's two packages. There's one package of expired corn, which they'll probably grow, but it wasn't enough to grow corn because they're wind pollinated, so you have to have at least 25 or 30. And then there was a package of something else that wasn't too impressive. So there was literally less than two packages because they were opened. So I packaged up a bunch of different seeds in here to share, and then I am selling some to somebody. So, but these are being gifted, and so let me show you what I'm giving away. Okay, this is super funny. Possums. Yep, so I got totally startled once by a possum at my mom's house when I was a teenager. It was on the back porch, and it was hissing at me. It did not play dead. So when I saw this on Temu, I got it. I got tricked on Temu recently. Don't play their games. Don't play their games. Anyway, I'm going to open this up and show you what I've got to give away. So I put together small packages because I want to be able to give away more. When I'm preparing to start a seed company, don't mind my nails. I don't know how to do anything. I do a lot more seeds, but I figured if these people are new gardeners, you probably won't need more than 5 butternut squash, and a lot of seeds get wasted. So, I could give away more if I make smaller seed packages. So I got Waltham butternut winter squashes, lots of those in here, and lots of those. I did poppies, lots of poppy flowers, okay, poppies and butternut squash. What else do I have? Spinach and cosmos, lots of cosmos in here, and yeah, more spinach. Crookneck summer squash, and summer squash do really well in Washington. I even planted some summer squash really late, and several years ago, and I was I'm not going to get a crop out of this. What was I doing? And then I ended up getting a crop. So if you think you don't have enough time, that's going to work for you. Okay, I've got more way down the bottom. Hold on. I'm also donating crookneck summer squash, buckwheat, which is a great cover crop that actually provides phosphorus in your soil, but it's also really beautiful for the pollinators. And then red lentils, which is a nitrogen fixer. You can plant this around the heavy feeders that take a lot of nitrogen. So, and they're also, I think the foliage is really pretty. So, and I also included on some of these some really good information. So this one says heavy, to plant around heavy feeders, nitrogen fixer. There's over 300 seeds in here, non-GMO, all the information. And then you can sow or plant from mid to late April and to mid or late May for a crop. And if you just want to have it as a cover crop, then you can plant it whenever it's not less than 40 degrees Fahrenheit at nighttime. So, as a cover crop, and it's not cold hardy, but they will fix the nitrogen in the soil, and then you can also mulch it back in, and it will provide it'll just break down. So that's 80 to 110 days. But again, even if you don't have enough time, you can always plant it as a cover crop. And the red lentils have pretty foliage. Don't waterlog them, and they like full sun. So you can plant them anywhere, but if you want a harvest, full sun. So I'm giving them out some things. Basically, it's free fertilizer. So I've got the red lentils, buckwheat. I've got crookneck summer squash, And then I also have the cosmos, spinach, lots of cosmos. Yeah, more spinach. So how many packages am I giving away? Let's count them. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. 6, 7, 8. This is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 34, 37, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 53, 55, 58, there's 58, 62, 66, 75. So I've got 75 seed packets that I'm going to go donate now. And I think there's like a half a dozen varieties because I've got flowers, cover crops, and squash. So hopefully people like it. And at least there won't be just 2 partial packets, but lots of different choices and plenty for several people to come in and get some seeds. It's not everything I have, obviously, but I'm basically, when I was putting together a seed order for somebody, I decided I would go ahead and put some for free for people who can't afford it. Gardening is for everybody, and I hope that you have a garden. If you don't, please start gardening. Even if you have to garden with whatever you have from the grocery store, you can do it. You can plant stuff. Like, I think I started with throwing garbanzo beans from the grocery store. It was not intentional, but basically what happened was I was going through food preps because I used to be like a really, really serious prepper. And then stuff got wasted, and then I felt bad, and I stopped doing that. Still got that mentality though, of being a prepper, but I want it to be more sustainable, like self-reliant, in that things will grow and then I can take it and then I can plant it again, and then it will grow and then plant it again, and not so much as like just hoarding it and saving it and then letting it go bad. So what happened was I went through some containers and I had like garbanzo beans and stuff like that, and they were several years past their expiration, and I was like, well, I don't want to eat them. Maybe I can grow them. And they are non-GMO and organic. And so I just went ahead and I tossed them in the ground, and then they grew. And then I was like, oh, they're nitrogen fixers. Let me use it as a cover crop. And I planted them around my beds and around all the pots, and the plants that were in there did better, and I still got a small crop of garbanzo beans. And you can actually eat garbanzo beans when they're not mature, so you don't even need that long. So I would pop them off, just eat them as a garden snack, throw the little pods back into the garden, like composting in place, and it was awesome. And I think that bag of garbanzo beans was like less than $1. Now, I mean, like, if I'm going to like give seeds away, or I'm going to, get ready to sell seeds, I'm buying them and sourcing them, not from the grocery store. But that's how I started. And if you can't afford a packet of, seeds, it's like, 25 seeds for $4. You can literally spend $1 or $2 and get hundreds of seeds. And just check the packaging, make sure it says non-GMO. And they mean organic, non-GMO is pretty darn good. And you won't get like a specific named variety, but that is how I started. And that is a great way to garden for super cheap. Another thing you could do is to trade with people. So like join a group. I'm in part of several groups where you might bring them plants and they might give you seeds, or vice versa, or you might give them nursery pots and then they might give you cuttings. And so it's really neat. And shipping is not worth it. I'm still part of some of those groups, but I don't really contribute or accept anything because a stamp now is like almost 80 cents. And usually you have to double stamp. And a lot of people will say self-addressed stamped envelope, SASE, which means you mail them an envelope and you double stamp your envelope to come back to you. So that means you've spent almost $3 just in postage. And sometimes I've done that before and somebody gave me like 10 seeds or 5 seeds. And I don't know how old they are. Sometimes they are giving away really old seeds. And so you just spent $3 for a couple really old seeds. So it's not a good deal anymore. It used to be a really good deal in those groups because postage was so cheap. It was like 40 something cents. But now that it's twice that, I would still like send seeds to a friend or family member for free. Because it's nice to grow to like if something from your own garden. But I've had a lot of people message me and say, would you mail these seeds to me? And I'm like, do you know how much it would cost me to send you fava beans? Fava beans are huge. They're like that big. And they're heavy. And so it's like, you want one fava bean or you want like 50. And it's going to cost me $5, $6 to send those beans to somebody. So absolutely not. But I'm still like revving up and I'm getting ideas about how to go about doing a business. Lots of research, lots of rules. So, really keeping it to people who I know and branching out. I went to a thing yesterday where there was a lady selling some plants and I asked her a few questions and this is what she said. I asked this lady, so she had a plant stand. And I said, how hard was it for you to get your nursery license? And she said, oh, I didn't need to get a nursery license. And I thought that was really weird. I was like, why don't you need to get a nursery license? Because you're selling plants. And so she kind of like did because that she's not doing it the way she's supposed to. I just know it. But I'm not going to tell on her, but, she's like, well, I just resell. And I was like, oh, no, you don't. No, you don't. The plants that she's selling are really expensive and, very, very expensive plants. And if you were reselling them, you wouldn't make very much. And the place where she was selling them, I know charges like $300 just to, have like a stand for like that period of time. And it's like, okay, well, if you're reselling it and the cost up front for that plant is really expensive and you pay $300 for that spot, you're not making a profit. So I don't think she's just reselling. I think she's propagating and then selling it and saying that she's reselling. I don't fault her because it's ridiculous. The more I look into trying to do a company, it's very, very expensive. There's lots of there's lots of hoops to jump through. No loopholes. And I hope that she doesn't get in trouble. But I was like, yeah, she's not reselling. Like, there's no way she would profit. This must be like a financial sinkhole for her because she had a like a vehicle as her business. So that costs money, right? So the vehicle cost money. The place where she had to set up cost a lot of money. The plants that she was selling, they are very expensive plants that up front you have to pay a lot of money for. And she's small enough that she's not going to get like that bulk discount where it's like you bought 5,000 plants of this one type and you're going to get this better deal. There's no way. I mean, she doesn't have, her facility is literally a vehicle. So there's no way. So I'm kind of thinking about like, do I want to do a nursery or do I just want to do a seed company? Because the seed company situation would be way more manageable in terms of space. And then I have to think about, do I want to just do resell? Because of reselling, if you keep the original packaging, you don't have to get all these extra special licenses. You just have to have a business license and that's it. But if you repackage, like if you buy a 10-pound bag of seeds and you repackage it, then you have to have special licenses. So, but if you're giving them away for free or only doing business with family members and your best friends, it doesn't really matter. But if it's like to strangers in the community and so forth, and then it does. So, post your comments below. If you have a business, small business, and you have tips for me, I would love to hear it. I started actually getting all this, like, really excited about packaging of the seeds and stuff. And, I was actually doing a lesson in my class about like laws about the seeds. And if you're going to have a business, what would you have to do? And so I said, let's research this together, because that's actually part of like the CTE, career technical education, trying to get kids into thinking about jobs and stuff. And I said, well, if you had a small business, you'd have to have this license and stuff. Let's look at the laws. And so there's Washington Administrative Code. They're called WACs. The other one is the RCWs. So in Washington State, you have to look at RCWs and WACs if you're looking at law. And so I was looking at the WACs, and there's this whole like paragraph. You're supposed to technically print and put it on your seed packages if you are selling them. So these are not for sale. I'm giving them away at the library. I decided to go ahead and put this on there. It says gift from Crybaby's Homestead on YouTube. And so maybe a couple people will join my channel. Free advertisement, I guess. I wasn't thinking about that, but then after I started putting the seed packets together, I was like, oh, maybe that would pay for the packages, the paper I'm using. So if a few people join my channel because I donated, then excellent. And if that's how you found me, thank you. Thumbs up. All right, everybody. Be good, be sweet. Grow a garden if you want to eat. God bless you. And any business advice, post below. All right. See you later. God bless. So I would be remiss if I didn't actually show you putting the seeds into the little seed catalog that they have at my library. And so I went ahead and put those in there. I have them all marked gifts, and I have squash and poppy flowers. I did like a little bit of everything. Basically, I mostly was pulling seeds that I know I have too much of, that I will not be able to, even once I get things like above board and start actually starting a little company. I'm not ready for that yet. So right now I'm gifting to friends and family, and instead of giving a bouquet of flowers, I give a bouquet of garden seeds and stuff. So I've got some cosmos here. Another thing is I do a lot of like swapping and exchanges. So like, well, it's not really exchanges. Like you give it for free, whoever wants it takes it, but then they're also giving things away. So it's like a free for all thing. It's a free for all. And so it's kind of fun. But that way I'm still within those rules and so forth. But the more I learn, the more I know there's more to learn. And so it's putting things a little bit on the slow track. And you might notice here that the seed counts on those, I only put 5. The reason being that no one in my immediate neighborhood and stuff, or my surrounding county even,
is probably going to plant more than 5 Waltham butternut squash seeds in a season. And if they do, they're going to have more than they need. And they probably want to have space for zucchini or for sunflowers or peas or beans or something else besides that. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put in there what I think a person would grow this season. One thing I noticed too is like when I had gone here before, because I was excited and I wanted to see what they had no seeds. They had 2 seed packets. Both of them were opened. Both of them were from like 2017, something like that. Really old seeds. One was corn, and I'm forgetting now. I probably mentioned it earlier what the other one was. But I was like, good grief. Like they had none. And the time before that I came, there was absolutely nothing. So they are going really fast. They are going by really quickly. And so I am trying to keep them stocked. I actually already have pulled together another 175 seed packets to put in there. Um, Basically, when I got tired of writing all the legal stuff on the packets, like you have to write down the lot number that you have, the date of when it was tested, the germination rate, the purity. So like if you look under a microscope or like a magnifying glass, you look at 100 little pieces of
Over here
something.
by the
How
grapevines,
many
I
of each
have a
thing do you
bunch
have?
of irises,
So when I
and
get
they have
tired of
gone
doing
to
that,
seed,
I basically was like, okay, I'm just going
and
to
it's
write the
open to the
variety
top,
name or
which
whatever
means they are
for
ready.
2026.
Ideally,
And that's
I'd
what I'm
want to do this on a
donating
dry
is
day, but I live in Washington,
I'm
and
donating the
it's
seeds when my hand
not
gets
dry this
tired
time
and
of
I
year.
don't want to write
So I'm going to
all the stuff.
gather
I'm like,
all these
okay,
seed pods.
these are going to be for donations. So
Don't drop it
that's the
on
other thing I'm
rain.
going to have to do is I'm going to have to go back through my seeds because I thought I was going to be in compliance. I was like doing all this like manual labor first, getting them ready, and then I was realizing there's information I didn't include. So I might have to do like a little insert and either staple it or glue it, or like if there's a package, put it on the outside of the package that has the little whack RCW paragraph on there that has like my it's like the rules of arbitration. Like if someone's going to sue you if they bought your seeds and it wasn't what they expected, I don't see that being an issue unless maybe you sold them something really bad, something that was maybe like an invasive weed or something. One thing would be is I wouldn't sell weeds. If I thought that there was any weeds mixed in, I would just plant them myself in my own garden, and then I would be really selective in that area. So, if that makes any sense. I really love collecting seeds. It's one of my favorite things to do in the garden. So, I think it would be so much fun to turn it into a small business. Um, it's just becoming kind of a stressful situation when I keep finding new rules. And my fear as a very strict rule follower is that I will somehow break a rule that I didn't know existed or misunderstand something important. So, but as you can see here, like, I made my own little seed packets here for my irises. These are from my own garden, and I take out all the chaff and that kind of stuff. And so it's like 100% pure. However, um, comment below. I don't think anything's ever 100%. So if I count 100 pieces of item in a seed packet, and 100 of those 100 items are seeds, should I say 100% or should I say 99%? Because hello, mistakes happen. Here we have some peony seeds. Why, thank you, my love. And so you're a good boy. Thank you. My son brought me a coffee. How sweet. So these here, um, I believe those are peony seeds. Are they peony seeds? Comment below. I'm thinking they're peonies, if I remember correctly. They don't bear seeds for me very often, so it's kind of a big deal that I got them. And if I remember correctly, I had bought some just like this from a company, and they're about $1 per seed. Here I have Illinois mulberry that I collected from my own tree, and those are pretty cool. And here's some zinnias. I say it differently. Am I saying it correctly? Zinnia or zinnia? I did twist this kind of sideways so that you could see the whole picture. I did have it as a like uh not as a horizontal image, but as vertical. So it would have maybe made a good YouTube short or something. I don't know. But I was showing you here, this is mostly chaff. So in my hand right now is mostly those flower petals. So the flower petals is not what I'm saying are seeds. Underneath the flower petal, it's attached to the seed. If you ever buy zinnia seeds, you'll see they look kind of flat and kind of tear shaped. Not exactly, it's not a great description. But on the end of each of those petals, those dried petals, is a viable seed. And so there does take quite a bit of work to remove the chaff from the flower. Now, in really big industrial, like, seed collections, they must have machines doing this. So, oh, look at that beautiful spider right there. Isn't it pretty? Um, so you're gonna have some chaff, and they might call it, like when they're saying like purity, and if I have a couple pieces of chaff in there, it doesn't hurt anything. But people don't want to pay for chaff. By the way, if you plant the chaff, it won't grow, but it also won't do anything unless it was moist. If it had mold or something, then it could cause problems. If there are pests, they could be hiding in it. So I do separate mine. One thing you can do is called winnowing. You can kind of blow on the seeds when they're really dry, and then the lighter material, which is not the seed, will blow away. That doesn't work with all seed types. Like, for instance, if I'm, trying to collect marigolds, there's going to be some chaff. The marigold seeds are so light, if I blow on them, they're going to blow away too. And if I leave the zinnias attached to the little petals there, if you blow on them, they're going to blow away. So, one thing I do is, like, even when I separate the chaff from the seeds, right? And that's actually biblical. When I separate the chaff from the seeds, I actually put the chaff back down around the plants where I got them. One, the energy that the plant put into that material is going back into the soil. It's providing habitat for insects and all kinds of, organisms. It's protecting the soil. But then also, if I miss some seeds, then they're going to grow in the same area, and it will make identifying those plants much easier. So I'm showing you here that little like colored part that was like chaff that I marked off with an X, and the little check mark was like that's a seed. So you can see the part that I'm holding is the petal, the part on the end is the seed. And those pop off really easily, so it's pretty handy. And so I usually will put my seeds on a paper plate to dry them. And then I will separate the chaff from the seeds. Sometimes I will have an accident and drop something everywhere, which is awesome. And I often joke that when I vacuum or sweep that I should just plant whatever I vacuum and sweep because it probably has a bunch of seeds in there. But I put it back around the plants just like I showed you just in the video. But that way, if I miss a seed, I feel guilty taking a risk that there's even one seed going into the garbage can. So that's just like, I don't know, the pro-lifer in me or something. So the idea that I'm throwing away a life is just, even if it's a plant, it's hard. That's like, even if I chop up a a bell pepper or something for dinner, I have to keep the seeds. It's There's got to be a word for it besides crazy. Um, is there a word? I mean, there's a word for people who don't eat anything that's not already dead. Like, I do eat meat and it is dead. But you know what I'm saying. So, like, I just can't handle the idea of, like, even when I prune something, if I prune a branch off of a tree, if there's a chance that it could sprout and it's a helpful tree, I want to stick it in the dirt and see if it will actually grow something else. I do that all the time. I've done that with currants and figs and forsythia and willow and a bunch of other things, and it's beautiful. It's just a really beautiful experience to see all those things coming to life, and it almost seems like science fiction, like it shouldn't work, but it does. And so I'm collecting here. These are not an invasive blackberry. Um, these are a native. I think they're the Navajo or Arapaho, or I'm not quite sure. I bought like three different kinds of Native American um, blackberries many years ago. Some of them did better than others. This is the only one that bore fruit and did really well. and I've been propagating it. So it did get big enough that I have been able to divide it a few times. So I have a few plants somewhere else that's basically a genetic clone of this plant. Not to be confused with the the invasive type, which we actually keep removing it from the property because it invaded from the neighbor's side and then got a foothold on one side of the property where I have to keep ripping it out. So this is not an invasive blackberry. This is a native one that is thornless. I'm trying to show you on the stems that there are no thorns on this plant. And I want to say it's the Navajo, but it could be Arapaho. I do not remember. If you recognize it and you want to pop a comment below and help us out, but of course, I think I planted that like 14 years ago, you guys. So I don't remember. Don't remember. Sharpies are a girl's best friend. Some people say diamonds. I say Sharpie markers. And so I'm constantly writing the names of the different types of plants and stuff and having paper plates of seeds everywhere. So it's a very eclectic style of decorating for sure. One thing I do like a lot that I didn't show you here in the video is that when I am seed saving for my own garden, I like to use whatever um, is in my own life that's already free and it's handy. I like to use those paper sorters, the ones that are horizontal that teachers use in classrooms. And I actually stopped using them in my classroom because I want students to actually hand me their work. They hand it to me and I grade it right away and then I hand it back to them. So I don't have like 5 periods of work. I will take one or two things at a time from an individual child, and then I will put it into the grade book and hand it right back to them because I can't handle paper. You got to know yourself. So I use those trays now. I use them for experiments when we have to have like an inclined plane or something, or we have like sand trays that we have to like show how water erodes soil and sand and how different kinds of channels are formed. And so I use them for other purposes. And then when I'm not teaching that unit, I bring them home because I paid for them myself. And I use them to put all these plates for seeds for them to dry. And I got a couple of them because there used to be a warehouse. It was called a surplus store. Now it's all online, which is such a pain because I liked going there and perusing. It's kind of like going thrift shopping. And I would find all kinds of cool stuff like really good staplers. Another thing that's like a diamond to me is a really good stapler or a really good hole puncher. Um, and so, yeah. So unfortunately, those surplus stores are gone. They are all virtual now, and I don't like that kind of platform because you don't know what you're getting. You don't know the quality. You don't know if it works really well or if it's got sharp edges or it's rusty. So I prefer to be able to see things in person when I'm getting something secondhand. And so I'm just showing you here, like all I did was the I let these mulberries dry. I did not even take the fruit off of them. And so I thought about, I was like, you know what would work best? So I wouldn't be selling these seeds because there will be a little bit of the residue of the berry on them. But it is not worth my time to go on every single seed and scratch off the pulp. It's dried. Like by the time I did this, it didn't take very long at all. And all I do is kind of like crumble the berry in my fingers and all of the seeds just fall apart. I'm ensuring that they're dried all the way through. And I literally left this, um, well, razzle frazzle. It cut out my sound. So a bunch of stuff I just talked about. I was yapping, people. I was honestly yapping. I left those seeds for like a year. I mean, I'm kidding because it was like October, November, December, January, February, March, April. It's been 7 months. I think they're dry. So I will be doing germination tests on these and stuff, and I'll probably see if I can get them a little bit cleaner. But they are perfectly wonderful and beautiful the way they are, just the way God made them. But here I have sage, and so I collected sage seeds, and I like collecting seeds. I honestly, I want to say I think that collecting seeds and propagating from cuttings, that whole bit of planting it, seeing it sprout, propagating it, and collecting seeds, it's my favorite part of gardening. Not even that's columbine right there. Not even harvesting beats this for me. Like here we have a couple of tomatoes, and I want to say those are Thorburns terracotta, but I am not sure. I know some pest damage, so obviously not eating it. I could cut parts of it off of it, but it's a soft fruit. So usually if it's a soft fruit and there's pest damage, I don't usually eat it. I'll compost it and I will seed save. So what I'll do is I'll squeeze those tomato seeds out, and there could be cross pollination, possibly that's an eggplant. Um, between the different varieties of tomatoes. So if I'm seed saving from this area, it's for myself, not for other people. So if I was going to seed save, I would only have one kind of tomato in an area. Now there are some types of plants that they say won't cross crazy, like corn does cross crazy, like insane. You will see it in the corn that year. But in most plants, you don't see it in the fruit that year, the plant that year, the seeds that year. You see it the next year. Um, so like you seed save from it, and then they have these funky little genetic experiments going on. Um, it's called nature. It's called like it's like actual like genetics, nature. It's normal. Um, but that's not how we do agriculture, you guys. So you get some kind of Frankenstein thing that happens next year. Sometimes it's beautiful and wonderful and better. Not usually. Sometimes it's just as good. Sometimes it's worse. Sometimes it's barely worse. Sometimes it's not even noticeable. Um, One thing, if you are getting seeds from other gardeners, and these are magnolia trees here that I planted from seed, you'll see that I have that that little basket on top, and that's to protect it from the horrible squirrels. They're cute. They throw cherries at me. They're ornery little squirrels, but they will eat my plants. They eat my little trees. So, especially nut trees and magnolia. They love magnolia and they love all kinds of nuts. So, and then I've got some other little trees I planted from seed down below. Comment if you think you know what those are. Um, but I propagate things from seeds all the time. And then I had this moment where I felt like it was a come to Jesus, God speaking to me moment, where I felt like this is your legacy. And this is what you have to leave to your children and to society when you're dead and gone. And that I need to do this more because it seems to be my calling. Um, I feel good. I don't feel like it's controversial. It's one of the few times as a conservative Christian where I do not feel controversial is when I am gardening because everybody likes it. Like I can talk about it to anybody. It's kind of like music and food, right? Music, food, and gardening, um, and like helping people and protecting the environment. Like no one really can argue against those things, right? So like let's keep it peaceful because this is a planet we all share. And really tired of politics. I think I mentioned something earlier. I probably shouldn't have said it, but you know, it is what it is. Everything I do and feel is out of love for the planet, other people, and God. And it's nothing is out of hate from me. So, and I'm a very forgiving person when it comes to people having different opinions. So, there you have it. I'm collecting some seeds here. If you want to guess what those are, make a comment below. But those are seeds from my plants that I am keeping, and they're too precious. There's the plant there in the background. They're one of my very favorite, and they are wonderful to plant around all your other plants. And the pollinators love them too. Be good, be sweet, grow garden if you want to eat, and I will see you next time. Bye.